Pastor Vlad Savchuk talks about surrendering your life to Jesus for true freedom. Going beyond deliverance from afflictions, he teaches that deliverance is a step towards giving yourself to God rather than just using God for personal success. While Vlad tries to make the focus on transformation, he sells the same old hate package with the side of ghost hunter. Skeptics question the extent of these religious practices and their impact on individuals' lives and whether his approach leads to a desired outcome. This article was from the Christian Post entitled Pastor Warns that Seeking Jesus for Deliverance Relief Without Surrendering is Not Christianity by Jeannie Ortega Law. It was published on August 25th, 2023. Now, Helen, I was wondering, I'm presuming you looked over this. What did you think of this? What was your take on this?
So the first thing that came into my brain was brainwashing. That's basically what I got out of this article. And because like Mr. Vlad Strongholds Savchuk, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Doesn't matter.
Kind of important to get right.
Was describing like this ridiculous perception, and he's just another pastor that we always talk about on this show after a long line of pastors that have the true meaning of Christianity. And I'm sick of hearing it. Like, please spare me the details because it's the same rhetoric over and over again. And he claims to have a special relationship with the Sky Daddy, and he is preaching his particular interpretation of that relationship. And what I found so frustrating too is that when I was going through it, one thing that really stood out to me, not only his brainwashing rhetoric, but his rhetoric about addiction, which really, really bothered me, and encouraging people instead of, if they're doing cigarettes or alcohol or, whatever, porn or whatever it is, that if they just replace that with Jesus, suddenly the need for those things are going to go away. And I'm going to put a little caveat. Porn's not there's no such thing as porn addiction, but in their perceptions, it is. And I find that really disgusting because people that have addictions and things in their life that it's controlling their lives and they feel like they can't get a way out, they need professional help. They need therapists and counselors and medical professionals to help them not only get control of their addictions, but make it manageable for the rest of their life so it doesn't consume them again. And when he's talking about, oh, you know what, just replace it with Jesus, that's just you're just taking another drug and replacing it with another. But this is religion, and it works on the same part of the brain. So I find that so infuriating. Instead of saying, you know what, you can come to service, that's fine, but you should be seeking professionals because this is a health issue. This is a problem of the spirit, kind of crap. So that was my main irritation with this guy. So anyway, I'm gonna pass it to Phil because I said my piece for now, and I'm just sad.
Boy, this pastor, I have seen him on the tubes before, and he's kind of problematic, and he's he's the satanic panic kind of guy, open doorways. That back in the 70s, late 70s, 80s, satanic panic was a big thing, and talking about open doorways, and I was part of that at that time when I was young, and it really has some really negative effects on me. But yeah, so this guy is really problematic. He's talking about open doorways, which normally they will say, oh, you need to have these doors closed because if you have any open doorways, you cannot be blessed, you cannot be successful, and Christians can have open doorways. And apparently it seems as if he was being making or part of the production of a film that is supposed to come out in soon is September the 23rd, if I remember seeing correctly. And involved in that film is that problematic guy, hateful guy, Pastor Greg Locke.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
When I
disgusting
saw
human
that, I
being.
was like, oops, this is really problems here. Nope. Hateful, hateful. And as Helen correctly said, he's creating this addiction, Christianity, to replace other addictions. And we know it's going to involve control. We already see that in the article, control. And believe it or not, just like a lot of these guys, scamsters.
Never.
Apparently, he has,
Say it
yeah,
isn't so.
yeah, he's a scammer, and I have the evidence. I love to have evidence. He talks about he wants to lock in members to join in his church and to bring in money to do what? He has this project going on called Season of Growth or New Home. And they have these architectural plans, acquire permits, phase one, renovate the first half of the building, purchase, broadcast, blah, 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 etc. And I saw a figure of $1,332,062. I don't know if that's the amount of money they have collected as yet. And he's telling people you can get involved in 3 ways. Prayer. He wants people to pray that the Holy Spirit will soften people's heart, that they will have faithful generosity towards this ministry. Money, 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 scammy, scammy, scammy. Right? Number two, give. Want people to ask the Holy Spirit to tell people to ask the Holy Spirit in the ways they could sacrifice. And you know what? Sometimes those sacrifices me. Money donations usually, yes. Generous giving towards this project. Wow. and then number 3, invite. He wants to have do you know others who have both the resources and the heart for a project like this? So scam. This guy is a scammer. Dr. Rich.
Yeah, same old story, isn't it? Same old story. Guy.
It's all the same salad, just different dressing, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dressing's just soured.
Yeah.
And it's the classic thing as well of when he says, "Oh, we take one addiction and replace it with another." Well, yeah, that's kind of the playbook of Christianity for thousands of years. Finding people who are in a bad way, they're drug addicted, they're poor, they need something to live for, and taking that and saying, "You could live for this. Why don't you have Jesus?" As if it's the answer to all their problems. And for a little while it is, and they become usually kind of strange, rabid apologists for a while. And then eventually, many of them, funnily enough, flip the other way. I found eventually, give them a good decade or so after that, because they realize actually it didn't help them at all, and they're back on whatever it was, and they get professional help and everything changes. But yeah, it's what I found fascinating about this, apart from this guy, almost every single word he utters is absolute abject nonsense about demons and other such trash that doesn't exist, is this whole very old-fashioned idea that you must give up everything and everything you do must be in the service of God, that it's giving yourself over to God. It's very Augustinian. It's very City of God, that all your feelings should be towards the telos, the finis, the direction, the target. And that target is spending eternity in a white place worshipping a guy, which sounds great. Yeah. I tell you what, I'd rather get high, to be quite honest. Keep doing it.
Yeah, would.
But it's, but yeah, he's just another evangelical scammer who wants you to pay for his big house, and probably then he'll need a plane, and probably then he'll need something. He won't tell you what it is, but let's just say she's a very expensive one. And all the other hypocritical things he'll do with that money. It's the same. We're just seeing the birth of yet another Greg Locke, you name it, pop off the lot.
Mhm.
So yeah, if nothing else, here's an interesting sociological experiment to watch, I guess, and see how this all happens, and see how the people flock around him, and see if we can find ways to use that data to stop it happening over and over and over again. But other than that, I don't know what we can do. It's just a tale as old as Augustine. So, infidel.
Well, I've got to say that initially, after I started watching a few of his videos and hearing his repetitive rhetoric, just kind of settled on the name Vlad the Demon Impaler. It just worked. You know, just another charlatan who's trying to sell something that's really hard to take serious. Now, his biography does look like what it should look like: early indoctrination, deep immersion. You know, and his claim to fame is, you know, you mentioned the demons and strongholds. You know, and he talks about this blind obedience, you know, surrender their entirety of their lives so Jesus can permanently break their strongholds. Now, as I said, it is difficult to take someone who's playing the ghost hunter seriously, but the dangers he pitches, they are very real. You know, Jesus isn't showing up to give any orders. So who is? Who are they going to be obedient to? And how are they going to be obedient? You know, first, this whole concept of demon mythology teaches that, you know, you're all just depraved monsters being prey to whatever whims of outside subject you to. It also, on the flip side, that they don't talk about as much, is it makes those that you oppose your enemies, those woke people and all those people that aren't children of the true God. It makes them to be possessed monsters. They're just demon possessed evil villains. And that has a whole realm of dangers itself. You know, to them, you know, he teaches against anti-LGBTQ, you know, and this puts people at risk. This puts people at violence. This puts people at risk of discrimination, ridicule. And these are things. And of course, he also has this really weird mentality called generational curses, where, you know, you carry on not just this weird concept of original sin from the Catholic Church, but that when your parents and your grandparents and they do things that fail other people, that, you know, you take on that as well. You take on that as part of you. And of course, he's got the answer. He's got all the solutions. You know, pay me, come to me, obey me, follow me as I follow as I follow Christ. And that's really what he's wanting to do. And it's almost like watching a cross between Finding Bigfoot or some other show that right now passes for Discovery on or more History Channel, and passes for bad entertainment. And I was wondering, Helen, do you have any additional takes on this?
He mentions Deliverance several times in this, and I just kept thinking of the 1972 movie.
Ooh,
And yeah, and just kind of, it was kind of ironic that that's where my brain went, and now that's that, and I was like, I'm like, this is the horror show that is developing. Also, too, when I was reading over the article, he says something about Israel came out of Egypt, but Egypt didn't come out of them, and they had to go through renewing of their mind. That's why they died like slaves, so they were no longer chased by the Pharaoh. And I can't help but feel a little bit of anti-Semitism. You know, I may be reading too much into that, but it just, because if that's the slave like mentality that he's pushing that narrative onto people, you know, because I wouldn't be surprised if he thought that, you know, Jewish people were the real cause, you know, of whatever it is, you know, whatever racist, bigoted trope you want to throw in there, to get people to other them, and that we have the correct religion. We are the ones to, save you. I'm going to save you, from, whatever demons you have. And I mean, like, I might be reading too much into it, but I get a little, when I see things like that, and these little sly, references, I just get a little bit concerned. That's just maybe just me, but I worry about that type of stuff. And I really wish people would, and like any religion, would stop preying, as you were saying, Rich, preying on the vulnerable. I think it just really, really bothers me. Because people need community. Yes, they need community support. Absolutely, they need people around them to support them. That they're doing the work, and they have a soft place to land while they're dealing with issues in their lives. But the thing is, though, is that people like him say, I see vulnerable people that are hurting, and because they're hurting, they're using a substance to make the pain go away. But I'm going, instead of actually doing real help, please come worship me and I'll make all your problems go away. I'm going to give you the easy solution. Just give it over to Jesus. And that type of rhetoric it disgusts me, because he's preying on vulnerable people, and that's what they do. All these pastors prey on the vulnerable. And I just find, it just bothers me so much. And, as someone that cares about people's mental health and their well-being. So, all right, I went on my little rant. I'm going to pass it to Phil. I think you're muted, Phil.
Yeah. Yes. Right. I agree with you with that. It is. They're playing on the vulnerabilities of people, and this is what we know religion does, especially Christianity, Islam, a lot of other cultic type religions. They tend to play on the vulnerabilities of persons and say, look, we got something that will make you feel better. But in the process, what they do is gaslight the persons, make them feel worthless.
Yeah.
So that they and then give them this, oh, I have the cure. So they make them feel worthless and then say, oh, I have the cure. And all this guy has been talking, as we said before, is a bunch of word salad. He doesn't even use any scripture verses at all. It's just this rambling about yes, you need deliverance, but don't do it for your personal self just to get away, but to give it all to Jesus and all to God and blah blah blah, and he will take care of this, but the goal is Jesus, and carrying people through a guilt trip, right? Through a guilt trip. And another thing I noticed was that he has this. He's trying to promote. Basically, he's giving out this promotion of being sold out as slaves to God, because the Christianity tends to talk about we are slaves to Christ, that Christians are slaves to Christ, and this is the sort of mentality he's also pushing. He said Jesus is not a means to a goal; he is the goal. I don't know. He's just carrying people on a ride, a guilt trip ride, and along with saying, "Oh, I have the carrot and stick policy, carrot and stick thing," giving them the stick and say, "Well, I got the carrot. Come for it, come for it," you know. So, Dr. Rich, what's your thoughts about that?
I've got not much else to say. I just find him yet just another of so many of these people, dangerous people, who part of me, there's a nice part of me wants to think that he doesn't know that he's being a manipulative con man, but the better part of me knows that he absolutely does, know exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it. And that's the bit I think that's most evil is the only word I can bring to that. It's just not something someone should do. And every time you talked about the kind of things he talks about, I keep thinking not just instead of demons, I think of thetans, and I think of all the other religions that have their versions of this to extract money from people. And I just sometimes wish I was a shade nastier, because I'd probably be a billionaire by now. Damn it. Oh well.
Damn you and your morals.
Infidel.
Well, I've got to say that the big thing about this is that we set it up for obedience, and we're going to save you by following this. But the truth is that when you fail, it's almost a win for them, because then, you suck. Pray harder. You didn't live up to the expectation. Pray more, give more, dedicate more, be more for Christ. And so when you fail again, we told you, you still suck. So let's rinse and repeat. And that really does boil down to it. And I think that you guys summed up everything. And while I love to hear the sound of my own voice, admittedly, or I wouldn't be here. Helen, I figured you might want to wrap things up for us.
So if anything I can say to our audience, that you're all very smart, educated people, because that's why you watch our show. And so if you can help someone not listen to someone like this terrible person, please do. And that is all I'm going to say. So if you would like to see more from the nonprofits, click here or here or here.